What is up, Tampa Bay? Hello to my live stream family. I know it's been a few weeks and I wanted to jump in here, give y'all a life update post Hurricane Milton, because it has been a crazy time for the Alcalá household as well as my team. And wanted to jump in here and first and foremost, just say thank you to everyone that's reached out to me personally. The messages, the Instagram messages, the emails that I've received from you guys and our audience have just been absolutely incredible. And I hope this live stream is coming through well, because unfortunately, I have been displaced, and I'll bring you guys up to speed on that. But I am in a loner studio right now, which is a huge blessing. Shout out to our church, by the way. Our church family is incredible in a way that I just can't articulate, but I will do my best to try to bring you guys up to speed on that. But I'm sitting in this, it's a gorgeous studio. Internet is not the most stable thing, so if we get a little bit choppy, no, that's what's going on. But I just wanted to jump on here, and I'm going to keep tonight short. Next week, we are going to get you guys back in the mix of all things Tampa Bay, what's happening in and around town. I was able to get out last week, and, hopefully if you guys are following the channel, you saw the video where, we just gave a little, update on the beaches in our community, because it is it's an interesting time to be around here. And, I just want to say thanks again. Support has been phenomenal. But you guys really give me an outlet to focus on, and something else to worry about outside of what's happening in our household. I'm going to bring you guys up to speed on that right now, as a matter of fact. So, we being in real estate, you learn a lot over the years, and a lot of the times you learn some lessons that you weren't looking for. And right now is one of those times. I've shared with you guys before, we live about 1.5 miles as a crow flies from Indian Rocks Beach, which is our home beach. My home is 43 feet above sea level, approximately, which is great. We weren't affected by the storm surge. And as a matter of fact, storm surge for Hurricane Milton was almost negative in certain areas. I believe Indian Rocks or Clearwater recorded a negative 2-foot storm surge, which is great. I mean, that's awesome, considering the week before with Hurricane Helene, that was not the case. Right? A lot of our communities were washed out. I shared that with you guys. And the irony is, a week later, we evacuated Hurricane Milton. We went to the East Coast and stayed near our in-laws, which was an interesting experience, because there was a lot of tornadoes over there, which, man, it was interesting. But Thursday morning, we woke up. Our neighbors had sent us some Ring doorbell footage from Wednesday evening, and there was water in our streets. And our neighborhood, again, if I'm 43 feet above sea level, our neighborhood's pretty high, right? Well, the retention ponds across the street in a different community overflowed with the 12 inches of rain that we received where I lived in about 6 hours, and ran all through the neighborhood. Fortunately, most people weren't affected. If they were affected very little. But however, I have found out that we are the lowest house in our neighborhood, and the community behind us is roughly 5 or 6 feet above us in elevation. So needless to say, our home flooded. So we came home Thursday to a house full of water. We got home around 5 o'clock. The house is full of water, 4 or 5 inches in some spots, and little puddles here and there around the other pieces of it. But we were flooded, man. And it's been one heck of 3 weeks, let me tell you, just trying to get our life together. So again, I'm displaced. That's why I'm in a different studio. Again, shout out to Mission City Church and just the community overall, man. Like it was one of those situations you go and you help people do the thing that you never expect to have happen to you. And then literally a week later, I'm standing there and I need people to help us tear out the floors and do those types of things too. So we're in the process. Now I'm going to share that journey with you guys on our YouTube channel. So if that does interest you, I'm going to bring you up to speed on what that looks like, how we're going to mitigate this in the future. This was a once in a lifetime storm, and they happen. If you follow this channel, you've heard me say, Tampa Bay hasn't had a direct shot of a hurricane in 105 years. And it came 104 years and it came. So what does that look like? What does it mean to certain people? Y'all, the devastation in our communities is astronomical. This Saturday, I've got a video coming out for you guys about Shore Acres in St. Petersburg. And that's one of those neighborhoods that floods regularly, even during thunderstorms. And there wasn't a single block in that entire development, that entire community that's old, by the way, is 50s and 60s. That there wasn't a pile of debris in front of their house, and it was super sad to see. But also just seeing people go to work and rebuild, super. I mean, it warms your heart and also breaks your heart at the same time. So just trying to get you guys in the mix of what's going on in our lives. And I'm not going to go to full length tonight, but I just wanted to pop in here because so many people have reached out to us. So Vlad, thank you, brother. It is great to see you. And again, thank you guys for your support and prayers. Just, knowing where things are and how difficult they've been for a lot of people. The one thing I'll say is we have had so many things go our way since this has occurred, even though we're completely moved out of our home. And I'll walk you guys through that here in a second. But so many people have stepped into our lives and gave the support, even though I'm terrible at asking for help. And please hear my heart on this. I'm not on here asking anybody for anything. And please don't take that as pride either. I'm sharing with you guys our experience so far. So yeah, Kate and I came home Thursday evening. We drove across the state. Man, the devastation all the way across the state was just fascinating. I've got video that I'll share with you guys here in the upcoming weeks of us driving back through the middle of the state, Plant City, Orlando, Lakeland. I mean, there's so many areas that were affected by this storm. It's just fascinating. So it's going to be, I think you guys will be shocked when you see some of this stuff, like the power of these storms and what they can do. It was just fascinating. So yeah, we came home and water in the house. We opened the garage and you could already see there was water on certain items. And it's like, okay, well, what is that going to mean? And then we walk in the back door and there was a rug, and we did a pretty good job. Like, I think I've shared this before. Like, we have all metal bed frames in our house. We don't have wood. Dressers and those types of things. We do a pretty good job of getting everything up whenever we evacuate for a storm. And this is my second time evacuating. The family's been gone the last two major hurricane threats in the area, which never arrived. But I always try to put everything up on the beds and just get them off the floor. Because again, we're so high in elevation. If we ever were to flood, we knew it would be from rainwater. And ultimately, that's what ended up happening. And we're still in the investigation phase. But here's what I can share with you. All of our bedrooms were hardwood floors. And I've shared this on this channel before. If you move to Florida, don't put wood in your house. It is by far the worst decision. It looks nice, but putting wood on a concrete slab, concrete is porous. And if there's water around the foundation, concrete can pull it right in. It can pull it up through the floor, or it can pull it in through the walls. And ultimately, it's going to lead to either mold or mildew issues. And we had already suspected there had been some water damage in the past. There wasn't any current evidence of water, no mold or mildew smell, none of that stuff. But the floor was soaked, and it's a engineered hardwood, probably put in, and if I had to guess, I'd say the early 2000s or late 90s. It was that engineered hardwood Brazilian cherry kind of look that was very popular in the 90s and 2000s. In the house there in the 4 bedrooms. And when you stood on it, water was squeezing up through it. So I knew it wasn't going to make it. We didn't have power until Sunday, but I was able to jump in, put generators in the house, get AC in there. Fans in there and dehumidifiers just going to work, just trying to make sure that we weren't going to turn into a mold bomb, and dry the house out pretty good. On the following Wednesday, we had all of the floors tore out in the entire house. So we had tile throughout the main living spaces of the home and approximately 1,000 square foot in the bedrooms of hardwood flooring. And when those floors came up, man, the smell of mildew underneath it just in that week was overwhelming. So definitely 0 out of 10. Do not recommend doing that ever. Tile is a great way to go. Luxury vinyl plank is something that people love to do, but as we look at our flooring choices during this remodel phase, we will not be doing that. And the reason for that is because I don't have any, if this ever is to happen again, and I don't think it will. And again, I'm going to work on some mitigation things that I'll share with you guys later. If it was, let's just say for the sake of, I'm going to prepare as if, just so you guys know. If it was, then you got to pull that stuff out and let it dry out and then put it back into the house. And we already had to move everything we owned into a pod and into the garage. And we're currently living in a RV on our lawn, along with a bunch of other people in the area. Because when I drove through Shore Acres today, there was so many RVs out there in pods in people's driveways. It was nuts, man. But we will be going tile. And the reason for that is because that way, if we flood, that's not going to be a problem for me. We're doing PVC baseboard. My house is concrete. It's a block construction, so it's not stick built. And that's important to note because we have insulation up 5 inches plus. We have it's plaster, not drywall, which makes a difference as well because that's a concrete product rather than fiberboard like you do in drywall. And we're just going to prepare the house the best we can to take on approximately 4 to 5 inches of water if that ever occurs again. Is that the end all be all? No. At the end of the day, Mother Nature will have its way. And the Lord will have his way, more importantly. But we're going to prepare as if. Okay. So my wife is getting the remodel that we had hoped we were going to do in the next 3 to 5 years. I did not plan on doing it this way, nor did I want to do it this way. And it's going to be a long road, man. Again, I don't have flood insurance in my house because we're not required to have it. We're in an X flood zone 40 feet above water. So y'all, we're carrying this. We already got the letter of deniability. We still went through the process. That way we notified everybody. But it's not happening, right? So this is on us. And this was our risk factor. And what do I mean by that? I've shared many times, publicly before and through YouTube that we understand the risk that comes along, that is associated with living in the state of Florida, especially coastal living. And as a family, we're willing to accept that risk, along with a lot of other people, right? 22 million people live in the state of Florida, almost 23 million, I think now. And a majority of us live on the coast. So I'm not alone in this. And I'm not saying that I'm smart, and I'm not saying that that's not, I'm not saying that there's not some pride in that, but this is home to us. We love it here. And for the foreseeable future, this is where our roots are planted, and we're going to help this community rebuild along with ourselves. And, your message typically comes from your mess. And I've learned a lot of things. I've also learned a lot of other areas where flooding has occurred and where it hasn't. And that is a useful experience for my craft. And it'll help me serve our clients a lot better and help our team serve our clients a lot better. So yeah, man, just bringing you guys up to speed. I got some more comments here. Let me see here. Steven says, it's Florida. You have to expect and accept it when you move here. It's amazing to watch everyone get right to work, the recovery. I agree, man. Like the helping hand, the hand up is phenomenal. The sense of community that occurs when a disaster strikes. And I know that this is a thing in our country, and this is something I'm super proud of when it comes to being an American. Like, this is still part of what happens for us. And I'm proud to be around people who take that serious and aren't selfish with their acts of service. So thank you guys for those of you who jump in there. Stephen also says, look on the bright side. You get to remodel according to your taste. We lost power and all the perishable food. Bright side, the fridges got cleared out. Time for good cleaning. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, nothing gets your house cleaner than a hurricane. There's no doubt about that. We were super clean when we left. We took a Yeti cooler full of meat because my wife refused to let like a couple $1,000s worth of protein go to waste in our deep freeze. So we took that with us when we vacated, along with my guitars, my family, and my dog. And came back. We were out of power until Sunday. So Wednesday night it went out. And if you guys didn't see that, we had sustained winds of roughly 100 miles an hour for a few hours. It was crazy. St. Pete got like 19 inches of rain. Oh man. And I mean, that's just to the south of us. And they took a beat down, and we're in Largo, Southwest Largo, on the Seminole border and Indian Rocks Beach border. and 12 to 13 inches, depending on where you're at there. So it was crazy time. Yeah, we will get to renovate according to taste. Trust me, the wife's got a whole Pinterest board put together already with the things she wants to do. And again, I'm going to share that journey with you guys. I know usually I've got, screen visual aids with me and you guys get to see everything, and I'll share that with you. I'm going to share the original video of us walking in the house because I record everything before we leave as good practice. That way we know if anything gets damaged, we can report it to the insurance company. So we record every single room, all of our personal assets, and what the property looks like prior to leaving. And then I record when we come back in just in case. And this was that time, right? We walked in, and as soon as I walked in the door, you could smell it. The doors were swollen shut, like the interior doors. Those are cheap, what do they call them? Hollow core, like it's basically cardboard. Even in the new construction houses is nuts. But those doors were all swollen shut because, the house had been wet and humid for just 24 hours. So, you couldn't really do anything about that. And then as soon as I stepped in, the rug started squishing, and it was one of those moments, right? Not a fun thing to come home to, trying to just get your life in order. Our fence was knocked down. We have a vinyl fence. Had like 2 panels of it get blown out. That was the easiest thing to fix, honestly. You just pop them back in like a Lego set. But the remainder of the house, once you get it open, we didn't have power, so we had to get all these lights, and it was almost, we got home at 5. By the time we got the water out of the house with squeegees and everything, it was already pushing 6:30, which is getting dark here. So it was a little bit of a whirlwind. And then we've just had so many people step up and help. Right. So the RV that we're in right now is a loaner from somebody who in my real estate community, which what a huge blessing. Like, we were trying to figure out where to go because all the Airbnbs were already booked from everybody evacuating. Hotels were already booked. And now you've got all these people displaced that don't have a home to come to. So we're like, where are we going to stay? This is the challenge of this, right? And then also knowing, like, you started seeing in the Facebook groups, people asking for help in their situation. And, they're single moms and they're looking for homes. And it's like, what do you do? Where do you go? When you do that, you're taking space. And we have, we've worked hard over the last 3 years to put ourselves in a position where we could be of service when people needed it. And here we are in a situation where we need to figure it out too. So we were literally considering just buying an RV that morning. We just moved a client down who is head at the top over at General RV. I don't know his exact title, but he's one of the big guys over there. And I was literally going to call him that morning and be like, hey, can you set us up? Whether it's to rent one or like just to buy it, just so we could figure that situation out. And we got the call, and what a huge blessing to not have to stress out about that. And I don't have a big truck to pull a trailer like that. We've got a SUV, and my barber called me. He's like, hey man, what do you need? And I was like, you know what? I need to go pick up this RV and this towable. He's like, take my truck. And he's got a big Ford F-350. And story after story, this is mine, but there are so many others like this, right? And people who have stepped in and again, lent a hand. And, from our church showing up, that was on Wednesday. We got back on Thursday. By Sunday, I knew I had to pull the floor. So I was like, everything's going to have to come out of here. Cabinets were damaged on the bottom. I didn't know how far it went into the walls. Like, I just didn't know how far that we were going on the demo. And I asked for help, I think on Friday or Saturday, from just the church, man. And I had like 20 people in our house. We went to church on Sunday, came home, and they were already waiting in the driveway when we get back. And poor Kate, she was completely overwhelmed. We were blessed beyond our wildest imagination. But like, imagine having a bunch of people show up in your house, and like, we had been packing for 2 days, right? Like, getting ourselves ready. And we don't have a lot of stuff. We're those people that like don't have a ton of stuff, but you got 3 kids and a life, you got stuff, right? But people showed up with helping hands and just went to work, man. And within a few hours, we had our entire house in a pod and in the garage, and we were down just the kind of like the loose ends, which is always the worst part of moving, to be honest with you. But we were out of that house, man. And the following Wednesday, they came in and and tore up the floors. And what a just, again, what a huge blessing to be able to tap on your community shoulders. And I know we're not the only ones. Like, our church community had already been serving other families. And again, the week before, y'all, this is the craziest thing about it. Like, the week before was Hurricane Helene, and we were all doing this as a community together. Right. So, like I said, it's such an interesting thing when the tables get turned and now you're in that situation. So, again, hear my heart on this. Like this, I'm not looking for any sympathy here. Please hear me. If you know people in the area that are in need, please, please, please help them. Okay. A lot of people have a hard time asking for help. This guy right here. Okay. But we are good. We've got a roof over our head. We got food in our belly. We're safe, right? Our home is drying out. We've got about another week, and then I'm going to have it tested for mold and mildew before we do anything else. And then once we get our clean bill there, then I'm going to go to work on rebuilding the home and doing the water mitigation stuff that I'll explain to you guys later on how we're going to do that. But I wanted to jump in here and give an update. Brian, good evening, sir. Brian says, glad that your family is safe. We've been reporting to Tampa homeowners dumping their homes in the market and investors. How can someone invest when it can happen again? How can someone invest? Okay. Great question, man. It's funny that you brought this up, because my video on Saturday is about this thing. So the thing I think people have a hard time understanding there's a couple things about this in general. And Brian, I was ignorant of this, just to be transparent, until I moved here. Guys, there is so much money out there. And when I say so much money, I mean, like, people have money. All right. Not everybody. And I know most people don't. Okay. And what do I mean by that? I'm not that wealthy person that can do these types of things. But y'all, let me just tell you, I live in an area where people have second, third, fourth, fifth homes. Okay. I live in an area where people have more money than time, and they make enough money that having an inconvenience like this, while it does suck, right, doesn't change their plans. That's one thing. Number two, we live in an area that is heavily investor focused, right? There are a lot of institutional home buyers and home owners here in the greater Tampa Bay area and in Florida in general, coastal regions, right? Because the thing that people kind of miss sometimes is, real estate is not just a house. Okay. The land has value. And in certain areas, the land has more value than the home. The home is actually an impediment to unlock the actual value that property is sitting on. And the coast is a prime example of this. If you drive up and down and you see these old coastal cottages that absolutely have flooded, right, 2 or 3 times, or however many it is, a lot of those homes and areas are generationally owned. They have been passed down generation to generation. Taxes are low, and a lot of people who own those can't afford to rebuild them all the time. Some of them can, some of them can't. I don't know the specific numbers. I'm going to try to track that stuff down. But what you need to know is there are people flush with cash waiting for that individual to get fed up doing that, so they can come in, bulldoze that cottage, and then build up a 3-story beautiful coastal home over there. And there's multiple studies that have done on this, and this is what my video is about on Saturday, that shows that after a hurricane, now this study was done in Florida specifically. I tried to get it as detailed as I could. Florida specifically between 2000 and 2016. And what it's found was that property values go up for the 3 years preceding a hurricane. For 3 years, property values go up, and it's because people come in, right? And I'm not saying home prices. You have to hear what I'm saying here. There's a difference between value and price, right? There's real value, there's perceived value, there's all different types of value within that. Okay. But if you think about this, if someone comes in and they knock down a coastal cottage that, let's say, that was for sale for 900 grand, that they couldn't get it because no one wanted to deal with it. Now they're selling it for 600 grand because the cottage is worth zero. As a matter of fact, it cost somebody 30 grand to knock it down. Right. Now it unlocked the opportunity to build that thing up. And when they build it up to 3 stories and no ground level, and you got the garages underneath, and now you got a beautiful 3,000 square foot coastal home, that thing's going to be worth $5 or $6 or $7 million, which increases the value. Right. And what that also does, it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the locals because their taxes increase along with that. Now, Florida has a homestead exemption that fights this kind of thing, but ultimately this is what occurs. And it's a very interesting thing. And I'm going to get deep on this in a later subject, or I'm sorry, in a later video, but it's a great question that Brian is asking, because I know people say that you'd be crazy. You're a fool to go in and buy those properties and once they flooded. But y'all, there is always somebody ready to take over a beachfront property or near a beach adjacent property in the United States. There is always somebody with enough money and enough dream and enough ambition to make that happen. Right. And there are ways to mitigate these things. Again, the Lord controls everything ultimately, but just kind of keep that in mind, because I know it's hard, but if you watch this, it's going to happen. And you see areas like this. Shore Acres is an example in St. Petersburg. There are many properties being sold as is, trashed out mess. Okay. Someone's going to come in there, tear it down and build up. That's going to happen. Mark my words, and I'm going to document the whole thing. You guys all see it, but that's how this works. It's crazy. Good question though, Brian. Cody, my man, my brother, appreciate you. Pastor Cody is at our church. He is the youth pastor here and just an incredible servant, and grateful to have you in our lives, brother. Thank you very much. We appreciate you guys, of course. Daisy May says, I'm a registered nurse going on 46 years of practice. We always tell patients to put meds, important papers in waterproof Ziploc bags. Try to keep the bags in person. Yes. And this is a good point. Just a little nugget. Y'all, you've got a couple things that are waterproof in your house. Your dishwasher, as an example, is waterproof, but Daisy's right about this, right? So putting your stuff in a waterproof bag, putting it up out of the way, and those situations is definitely helpful. We take ours with us, Daisy. So like when we evacuate, we took our Social Security cards, all that other stuff too. But that's a really good insight. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Corey says, hey, Juan, Corey, tuning in from Columbus, Ohio, as always, OH. Yes. I mean, 3 more weeks, brother, 3 more weeks, and then we'll have that conversation. I do not expect for the Maize and Blue to be winning this year, but however, that would make this year right as rain. Make it right as rain, my man. So I love that. All right. Sorry, but that's a myth. Dishwashers are not watertight. Well, I'm sure water can get in if it comes in the back. That's probably a good point. Leonardo's making a good point. Check your dishwasher, but I've never had water come out. So that tells me that most likely it's probably watertight. Now I'm sure it could go the other way, but it's a good point. Leonardo's safe documents need to be put in a safe place, waterproof them to the best of your ability. I think that's good sound advice from Daisy, and it's also fair from Leonardo. So thank you, Leo. Appreciate that, my man. What'd she say? Daisy May says, always take meds and important papers with you. Yeah, you're going to absolutely need them. And that's some of this is a good point. Some of the big challenges that people face after this is, people are on oxygen machines, or they're in, they get dialysis, and those places don't have power. And there's all these things that occur, the fallout, if you will, from being out of power, from having roads flooded. There's so many different things that happen from a community perspective. And, so just be mindful. And y'all, it's going to be a long road to rebuild. That's what everybody needs to be aware of, when it comes down to that. But, just seeing people swoop into action, get after it right away. And you're already starting to see beaches reopen, which is great. I will get you guys updated on a list for those of you who are planning on flying in and still considering moving to the Bay here. I'll get you guys a list of the beaches that are open so you can, go and spend your time. And a lot of our beach accesses are torn up or destroyed totally. So the beaches aren't open. But the big thing to be aware of is sewage runoff is one component of it. The beaches, they're testing them daily. And from what I see, we are on the good side of any bacterial anxiety, but that can still occur, right? So I'm talking about salt water. I'm not talking about fresh water. But the big thing you guys need to be aware of is there is glass and screws and drywall. Like there's just debris all over the place. And a lot of the beaches already went to work cleaning this up, but it's not complete. I was down on the beach last week. I made sure to wear shoes, and I saw stuff everywhere, everywhere. So it's definitely something you want to be mindful of if you're planning on traveling to the area. And it's one of those double-edged swords. Like we need to get open. We need to welcome our visitors back to the area because, you guys know, if you've been to Tampa Bay, we take in almost 17 million visitors a year. We're grateful for that. That's a huge driver of our economy here. So we need that support, but also you need space to be able to fix things and rehabilitate. And, guys driving down these roads, there's stuff in the road, there's screws and glass and people throwing it out to the road, and they got to wait for FEMA to come pick this stuff up. And let me tell you, when you're waiting on government, you're waiting. Ain't nothing about the government fast, period. Nothing. Right. Don't believe me? Go check it out. It's ridiculous in terms of how long it takes. However, we have to give grace. All right. The trees and the sticks and all that stuff are still sitting out on the curbs. The counties are working through it. The cities are working through the cleanup. And, we've got trash mountains all over the place. I drove by Florida Mid-Atlantic, which is our amphitheater, which is on the far east side of Tampa, out by Hard Rock Seminole. When we came back to Tampa, they had already started putting trash out in the middle of the fairgrounds out there, like literally Trash Mountain. Last week when I went back out that way, it was even higher. You drive by the landfill here in Pinellas County, and there is excavators 5 stories in the air, right on top of these trash mountains, because you got to put this stuff somewhere, right? It's crazy town. It's so hard to wrap my mind around. So I'm sorry I don't have video to share with you guys. Again, you can see Saturday's video. If you go check that out, this Saturday and last Saturday, you'll see what I'm talking about. Next week on this live stream, I will give you guys the kind of walk through the house. I just got to check it with the boss. She gets a little bit anxious about us showing our house because of the kids. And y'all, if you read the comments on YouTube, you know why. So I'll see what she's comfortable with, but I'm very open to share with you guys our process, our progress, lack of it, whatever it is. So you can kind of see, just what's going on and what it takes. There's municipal inspections involved, and a lot of things have to happen in order for us to get back on our feet. And we're not the only community, right? So I'm sharing this with you guys, Houston, for goodness sake. My peeps in Houston have been ravished more times than we care to admit. So we're not alone in this. And again, I just wanted to give you guys an update. We flooded. Had nothing to do with storm surge. Had to do with rainwater. Some of it came in through the back door, I'm pretty sure. The rest of it, I think, came in from the actual foundation. That's a whole nother situation. Like I said, I'll walk you guys through that. But we are safe. We've got a place to stay. And we're already in the process of taking care of things. So we are very blessed. We are very fortunate. We have our health. I have my family, right? And we have our faith, and those things are the most important to us. We'll continue to pray for our community, and for those of you who have reached out to us, thank you. And God bless you guys. We really, couldn't have done it without your help. And a lot of those messages, man, the first 2 weeks got us through, because honestly, the last 2 days, I just started to come out of this, the days just went. October's gone. I don't even know where it went, and you're just kind of loopy. It was almost like being in, I don't know, sedated. It was just weird how things were just happening to us and not on purpose, but we're back in that phase now, and feel good. I can see my wife starting to feel pretty comfortable with things. The kids are back to school and swim, and we're getting back to life. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see our community rebuild and come together And I'm grateful for the support. And I just wanted to pop in here tonight and just thank each and every one of you for that, regardless of whether you reached out or not. If you were thinking about us and our family and our community, most importantly, thank you. Thank you, because they all need it. We all need it. So appreciate you guys. And again, we'll be back next Tuesday with some regular scheduled programming, and I will keep you guys abreast of everything, what's going on in our world, costs associated with renovations and rebuilds. I'll tell you right now, it costs us $8,000 to get all that flooring out of the house. 2,100 square feet to tear all of it out was $8,000. $4 a square foot is the going rate in Tampa Bay for a demo. Holy cow. Holy cow. And no, the insurance will not be covering it because we don't have flood insurance. So that is our update, guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And like I said, I'll see you next week. Make sure you check out this weekend's video. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about: blue roofs and trash, and it's just nuts. So God bless y'all. Have a great night. Take care.